Farshidbagherian is a political analyst who joins us from Karaj in Iran, and Isha Krishnaswamy is a journalist and podcaster who joins us from Madison, Connecticut. Welcome to you both. Farshid, let me first start with you. You know, every time we approach this subject, there's many different dynamics that are involved. Briefly, if you can, tell us what exactly is the points of friction that could lead to a bigger crisis if it's not dealt with in the right way, at least in the Iranian perspective.
I'm afraid of repeating my previous words that this part of the world, I mean the Caucasus, is destined to be conflictful or agitated, full of agitation. And there is turmoil is some part of this destiny of this part of the world. And any new engagement is inevitable. Remember the Nancy Pelosi has traveled over and they promised the Armenian, especially the Armenian administration, that we will be back over here again. Remember the election race between Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump, and Mr. Trump lost the electoral number, huge number of electoral in California because of the Armenian, he ignored the Armenian lobby in that part of the United States. And this time, the Republicans are trying to reevaluate the power of the Armenian lobby. For this reason, they are, how can I explain? They are trying to be here, not part of the geopolitical changes. They are trying to be here to changing the administration of the not only the Caucasus, Central Asia, and paving a new road. And this is the presence of the United States in a landlocked country like Armenia is the airborne drill is only a part of a big plan to be penetrate to the Central Asia and to be an ambush for the Russian administration and the collective and security collective pact. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us, Esha, what is going on with the thinking behind Armenia? It seems like obviously they are somewhat discontent with Russia in terms of the protection that they feel Russia is not. Is it protection or attention? Maybe it's both, that Russia is not giving to them. But to go and have joint war games with the U.S.?
Well, let's remember what happened is that in 2018, the U.S. staged a successful color revolution in Armenia. Before, there was a more neutral Prime Minister, Serge Sargsyan, and now we have Pashinyan, who is, Pashinyan, who is very much a pro-U.S. figure. And of course, the main thing is that they do not want something like the CTSO uniting as it did in late 2021 when there was a color revolution attempt in Kazakhstan. So the US presence is merely to do what they always do, to kind of divide the region, stop any kind of inter-regional cooperation, anything between Iran and Armenia or Iran and Azerbaijan. And certainly the Belt and Road presence plays a big role. So I think it would be a mistake to think that of the Prime Minister of Armenia as a completely autonomous figure. He is a lot more similar to the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, because of how he came to power, which was through a US-backed color revolution.
Well, Farshid, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're looking at a number of countries that are involved here. I think obviously we cannot talk about this, I dare to say it's a crisis, without mentioning Turkey, without mentioning the aspirations that Turkey has, and without mentioning the fact that Turkey is a NATO member and that it wants to bring NATO through some kind of pact, maybe with the US, to the doorsteps there, which also has always the elephant in the room these days, if not for a long time now, which is Israel. Can you put those together for us and tell us how that works out?
The NATO member of Turkey has made no sense here in this part of the world because, you know, against Turkey is a huge blockade as Russia. And Russia blocked all the penetration and how can I explain, and the metaphysic of the Turan or Osman, a neo-Osmanism or neo-Turanism to vasting, spreading over all the Caucasus or maybe Central Asia. Mr. Alexander Dugin, you know, as the advisor of Mr. Putin. He is an ultra-nationalist, and they are against the spreading the Turkish empire in this part of the world. And again, Mr. Pashinyan, according to the Azeri politicians, used to be the George Soros agent in this part of the world. And Mr. Putin rendered him, or it's better to say, tame him, or maybe as a member, a docile member of the pact, the security pact. But Mr. Pashinyan is now thinking that with this kind of the influence of Russia for Armenian will never go never go ahead. And this is the fact. But remember that the war machine of the Armenia is 100% Russian. And any military drill with the United States has no sense for the Armenia here. It means that this kind of the military drills with Armenia is small part of the plan, or maybe the plan that may push Mr. Putin, or maybe to oblige Mr. Putin to use the tactical nuclear power in some part of the Nagorno-Karabakh, or maybe some part of the Caucasus, to produce, or maybe to create a terra nulla, or it's better to say bird land. And they are pushing Mr. Putin, and they are stringing Mr. Putin in this part of the world. This is the fact about military drill with a landlocked country like Armenia has no sense. Remember the Ossetia? There was no NATO, there was no US in 2008. And this part of the Ossetia with a proclaimed Republican, Russian-backed, and they announced a republic. So I don't think so that this kind of the military dream can make any geopolitical changes. This is administrative changes in this part, or maybe Central Asia. Yeah.
All right, and finally and quickly, even though we can't talk about this topic so quickly, Esha, is the fact that we're looking at this Zangezur corridor, of which there's efforts here that are being made to connect it from Azerbaijan to Armenia. And so that's something that Iran obviously is against in terms of it changing any type of, boundaries that overlap here. How difficult of a task, though, does Iran have on its hand in order to try to balance Turkey, balance Azerbaijan, balance Armenia into some kind of a resolution that doesn't, I guess, change the status quo?
It is, I would say, a very difficult task. But Turkey, I feel, is a much smaller player here, because they're already a little bit extended with the Syria equation. But both Azerbaijan and Armenia, as we have seen, are unreliable allies, in that they are often subject to influences, especially through US and NATO. And so it is going to be a very difficult task, because it means that Iran, well, with Azerbaijan, it might be an easier task for Iran to deliver some sort of better infrastructure, or some sort of better deal for them to turn their backs on this idea. Armenia, as I've already said, its leadership is a product of a color revolution, and therefore the task is definitely uphill.
Okay, very well. We'll leave it there. Thank you for that, Esha Krishnaswamy, journalist and podcaster there from Madison, Connecticut. Thank you, farshidbagherian, political analyst from Karachi here in the Islamic Republic. And with that, we come to an end for this news review. Thanks for tuning in.